Hello everybody. I hope y'all are doing good out there. Today we are going to be looking at a case Stockman pattern. Lately we've spent a lot of time looking at jackknives. We've paid a lot of attention to the case trapper and to the peanut. But one of my favorite patterns is the Stockman. The Stockman is a useful knife, it's a practical knife, and it's a traditional classic knife. Lots of people have carried Stockmans over the last 100 years. And there's good reason for it. They're very useful knives. The one that we are going to look at today is a unique variation on the Stockman. If we was to say, just show your straight, common, most normal Stockman you could find, we might show something like this yellow 18 pattern. Round bolster, 3 5/8 inches closed. And this is a good representation of kind of a plain Jane Stockman. We might also show the 33 pattern. It's a square bolstered Stockman, and as you can see, it is a whole lot smaller. These are both great knives. But the knife we're looking at today is not either one of these. The knife that we are going to be looking at today is very interesting, because as a matter of fact, it's a Stockman, but it's named after a pig. That should let y'all know which knife we're going to look at today. We are going to be looking at the Tony Bose Kentucky Bluegrass Bone Peach Seed Jig SowBelly. The number on this is going to be TB6339, and this knife is in stainless steel. The TB at the beginning of the pattern number is going to refer to it being a Tony Bose design. That means that he's the one who come up with this particular design on this pattern. There were other SowBellys that Case had made years and years beforehand, but he come up with this design. You'll also notice this one was manufactured 7/25 of 24. Because this one is in this Kentucky Bluegrass Bone, it's going to be a Shepherd Hill exclusive. Now you can get these off of Amazon because Shepherd Hill sells them through Amazon. But the SowBelly with Bluegrass Bone is supposed to be a Shepherd Hill exclusive. So without wasting any more time, let's slide the knife out of here. Again, I've had this knife for a while, but I put it back in the box to make it more exciting for video. Sliding it out. It's always exciting to unwrap them. Especially when you've got them polished up good and then slide them back into that wax paper. I guess that's wax paper that these come in. There it is. Now, the SowBelly is a very interesting Stockman. It has your normal Stockman traits in that it's got 2 back springs, which is usual for Stockman. There are some out there with 3 back springs, like the 47 pattern from Case, but this one has the usual 2 back springs, and then it's going to have 3 blades. And because it's got 3 blades and 2 back springs, the middle blade has to be bent so that they'll all fit into the handle. You're going to get 3 blades on the SowBelly Stockman from Case. Your main blade is going to be this clip point. You can see it's got good snap. Let me wipe the fingerprints off. It's an interesting looking clip point. It basically, in my opinion, looks like a sodbuster blade with a point and a swedge on top. Here is a sodbuster junior. You can see the profile on that blade as the edge rounds up to the tip is very similar. And if you remove the swedge and take the point off the top, you really have the same cutting profile. So it's a clip blade, but the clip is so small on it that, in my opinion, it's basically a Skinner blade, something like a Sodbuster Junior. But your main blade is going to be this clip point blade right here. Let's get some measurements here. When I do these reviews, I usually measure the cutting edge, because in my opinion that's what really makes the difference when you're cutting something. Looks like we've got just about 2.5 inches of cutting length, around 2.5 inches of cutting length. believe I measured that right. Let me try again here. Yeah, around 2.5 inches, maybe just a hair short of that. It's a good looking blade. It's a handsome blade. You'll also have your date stamp right there on the tang. This one, as you can see, has 6 dots, which is telling us it's a 2024. One thing neat about some of the Tony Bose designs is the way that the blade transitions down into the ricasso. It's a little fancier than it is on a lot of case models. If you look at just your regular 47 pattern, you can see it's just cut off flat. So they made that a little fancier. It doesn't affect the usability, it's just a design feature. The handle is large enough on the SowBelly. I wear a large glove, and you can see that I've got plenty of handle to hold on to. Also, it's a good shape that if you want to lay your finger up on the top of the blade, if you want to limit how far you're cutting into a box or something, you can do that. It's not going to have any half stops. Got good snap going down. Your secondary blade is the blade that causes people to love Stockmans, and that's the sheep's foot blade. Interesting blade a sheep's foot is. It's got a rounded top, and it comes straight down to a point. What that does is it causes the cutting edge to be completely flat. That makes this a great box cutter. You know, when you're cutting down into a box or something like that, it keeps the tip from being way up on the top. If you look at the clip point blade on the SowBelly, the tip is at the very top. If you look at the sheep's foot, it's on the very bottom. And so, if you're going to be using your clip point blade to cut into a box or cut through a clamshell package, to get to the very tip, you're going to have to hold the knife almost straight up and down. You see, to get that tip to pierce through the clamshell package. But with this sheep's foot blade, because the tip's on the bottom, you can hold it at a much leaner angle when you're cutting and still get good pierce. That's one thing I really like about a sheep's foot blade, and this SowBelly is known for its sheep's foot blade. It's extremely wide this way. It also has a swedge on the back, which is interesting. It's handsome looking. It's a neat looking swedge. Looks good. This knife, I believe, was designed with the sheep's foot, meant to be the main blade. You can see the curve on the knife. That's why they call it a SowBelly. And it just feels good when you're holding it with the sheep's foot. Then your last blade is going to be this little spade blade right here. Well, it's not too small. It's a good sized spade blade for the knife. What's going to be interesting about this spade blade is the shape of the handle is going to cause it that when you're holding it, it's really going to cause that edge to shoot down. So if you're just holding the knife, you can see how it's angling the edge back towards you. Or if you're cutting down, it's canting the edge down in the direction that you're cutting, which can be good for cutting rope and stuff like that because it pulls the rope into you instead of the blade sliding off the rope. But that right there is your spade blade. Comment down below if you carry a SowBelly, how often do you use the spade blade compared to the other two blades there? Also, it will have a swedge on the back, just like the sheep's foot did. Now, some unique characteristics. You'll notice that case has the blade slightly off center. See that right there? The sheep's foot is leaning to the right, and the spade blade is leaning to the left. They did that to minimize blade rub and to allow the blades to fit into the handle without touching each other. That's a unique quality of the SowBelly. Another one is that the sheep's foot blade, the nail nick, is on the show side. It's on the show side, and that's abnormal. Most case Stockmans have it on the pile side. This is the 33 pattern. You can see it's on the pile side. The nail nick is. Same thing with the 18 pattern. It's going to be on the pile side. And that's true for almost every other case Stockman. The SowBelly is unique in that it has the nail nick on the show side. Now, I want to do a quick comparison between the 47 pattern Stockman from Case, because in my mind, in my opinion, these are basically the same knife, just this one is a unique take on it, if you would. It's a unique take on the classic Stockman. But first off, let's get our measurement. SowBelly comes in at just under 3 7/8, just barely under 3 7/8 closed. So let's compare this to this 47 pattern. First thing to say about the 47 pattern is it's an exception to Case's normal rule. It's not a two-blade stock, not a two-spring Stockman, it's a three-spring. It will have the same 3 blades though. You've got your main clip point blade. Let me open up the SowBelly to compare it. And there you've got the SowBellys. If you'll notice, the 47 pattern, while having the same length handle, it's shaped a little different. It's more of a straight handle rather than a curve like the SowBelly has. But basically the handles are the same size. It's got a larger clip point blade, but the blade isn't going to be quite as thick as the SowBelly's blade. Your secondary blade, this time the SowBelly is going to have the larger blade. The sheep's foot blade on the SowBelly is larger than the sheep's foot blade on the 47 pattern. Notice again the nail nicks are on different sides. The SowBelly's is on the show side, the 47's is on the pile side. But you do get a larger sheep's foot on the SowBelly. And then the last blade on these knives is going to be the spade blade. You're going to have a slightly larger spade blade on the SowBelly. But the biggest thing you're going to see is the curvature. You can see that SowBelly has a lot more curvature than the 47 pattern does. The 47 pattern feels great in the hand. I really like it. Now, besides those differences, you can see the SowBelly's basically same size as the 47 pattern, but it's a beefier knife and it's more unique. It's more extreme the way it's shaped. Now, I do want to say one thing I don't like about the SowBelly, and that is this high riding sheep's foot. I had someone comment in the comments a bit ago saying that they didn't like the high riding sheep's foot on the SowBelly, and I completely agree. If you're using your sheep's foot the most often, the knife feels great in the hand. But if you're somebody who prefers to use a clip point blade, in my hand, this sheep's foot can press into my knuckles and make the knife uncomfortable. I know the simple answer is don't squeeze so hard, and it's not a fault of the knife. It's just a unique characteristic of the design. But it is something that I don't like about the knife, and so I'm more of a 47 guy myself than a 39 guy. But that would be my one big complaint about the SowBelly, would be this sheep's foot blade. You can see it also gets pretty narrow toward the end, the way that it's been designed, where that's not going to be the case like with the 47 pattern. It's wider, so even though it's sticking up a little bit, when you hold it, you really don't feel it. At least I don't in my hand. Before we close out here, I need to weigh the SowBelly. For those of you who've hung around through this whole ramble, let's get the scale out here. The SowBelly is going to be heavier than the 47 pattern. I'm almost sure of it. I don't remember exactly what the SowBelly weighs, but it's a heavy knife. 3.40. Yeah, 3.40. Let's see what the 47 weighs. 2.70. So you can see from that right there. 2.70 for the 47 pattern. And 3.40 for the SowBelly. And so you can see for the same length knife with 3 blades, you can see just how beefy the SowBelly is. And if you're looking for a hard use knife, the SowBelly is a great option. Y'all comment out there, those of you who have experience with the SowBelly. How do you feel about it? What do you think about it? Do you like it better than the 47 pattern? If you do, is the SowBelly your EDC? Why did you pick it over other knives? If you don't like it, what don't you like about the SowBelly? What do you prefer instead? I like the SowBelly. It's not in my top 5 list, but I still really like it. And this Bluegrass Bone is a beautiful cover. This one doesn't have as much blue in it as some do. Some have a lot of blue in them. All in all, it really reminds me of these Bermuda knives that Case used to make. I haven't seen any of these around for a while, but you can see they look almost identical. This was called Bermuda Green Bone. They look very similar. The only difference is this one has more blue in it. And some of the Kentucky Bluegrass knives have a lot of blue in them. So, y'all out there, thanks for watching. Have a good day, and make sure you keep your knives sharp. See you next time.